Welcome to another re-review, guys, where I take a figure that I have reviewed once previously, but I just wasn't satisfied with how that review turned out, and it's time to take it off the shelf and give it the modern treatment. And this is the Hot Toys 1/6 scale Terminator figure from the original Terminator film. Very incredible movie, some would say ahead of its time. Incredible effects by Stan Winston, directed by James Cameron, and the Terminator played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, just to make the scene a little bit more interesting, I've got some other Terminator bits and pieces around the figure. It's the Sideshow Collectibles 1/1 scale Endo Skull. That's actually from Terminator 2. And over here we have the 1/4 scale part die-cast Hot Toys T800 from the first movie. So underneath all this, not just the clothing, but underneath the skin, that's what he looks like. Because this is from the first movie. Incredible figure. And he's just chilling there, leaning on the Hot Toys box, getting in on the action. So I'm going to be intercutting some cool photography from, just over the years of owning this figure. And this is one of those videos where I wish I could use the movie soundtrack. I really wish I could, especially when you see the pictures. It heightens the experience by 50%. But unfortunately I can't, because you get in trouble for stuff like that, and obviously that makes sense. I'm fine with it. It's just a damn shame, folks, that I can't let you hear the original score from the movie playing over this review, because it would just take it to another level. But a fantastic figure, but not a perfect figure, and we're going to get into that during this review. So I hope you enjoy it, guys. Let's get started. The accessories, he comes with quite a few different hand sculpts, and those two that you see there with all the gore and the endo hand showing through the fingers and the blood there, very cool hand sculpts. Those are my favorites. They go very well with this head sculpt. It's a spare head, fantastic sculpt, great paintwork on it. It has a light up feature in the eye, but mine doesn't like to work very often, so that's a shame. But I've seen quite a few people complaining about that too. So it seems to be a bit of a common issue, but great paintwork on that. We'll get a much better look at that head sculpt later on in the review and during the review of the photography that you'll see. But it is phenomenal. And it's resting on top of some spare wrist pegs there, because the head doesn't really want to balance by itself. Get a great base. We'll get a better look at that later as well. And his famous gun there with the laser sight. His sunglasses, which are very fragile. Be careful with those. And 3 more guns. Really, really well executed here. Moving parts, great paintwork, fantastic guns. Let me just bring down the brightness for you. There you go. And the old VHS of the film, which I still have, and it's still in really good condition. It's really nice to be able to display this beside the figure that you can see. Oh, that reminds me, I did own this version. Maybe I'll interject some footage of that. I stupidly sold it. That's one of the figures, pretty much the only figure I've sold, and I've sold a lot over the last 11 years. That's the only one that I do genuinely miss and need to get back. But yeah, just something else is always on the list, and you gotta keep moving forward. But that's a cool picture there. That's obviously how we've got them done up at the moment. But I do zip up the jacket. I don't know why, I just prefer it like this. Obviously you gotta pop that collar up. Yeah, sick. Very, very cool. Very, very nice to own this. I like the side as well, the VHS color, old school, awesome. Virgin film collection. Very nice. And it just goes with the box for the Hot Toys figure perfectly, as you can see. Now on to one of my main gripes, and it's a pretty serious one with this piece, and it's to do with his skin on his body, particularly in the neck area. And it's not the first figure I've encountered this with. A figure that came out before this one was the Christopher Reeve Superman, and he has the same situation with his neck area as well. Also, a figure that came after this one was Jyn Erso from Rogue One. She also has the same issue, and I'm sure there are many other Hot Toys figures that have this potential problem just sitting there on your shelf or in your detolf. Could be happening right now, and you've never even, you don't mess with your figure's head, you don't turn it, you just put it in the, display, and then one day you'll go to check it, and you see that, and you're like, uh-oh, what the hell happened there? And I am super careful. Obviously, you'll see, during this video, I did do photography with this piece, and I've been in the game for a good 8 years or something. By the time I got this figure, I knew how to turn a head. Obviously, when it's a neck like this, you always kind of separate the head from the skin on the neck before you turn it. Don't let it come into contact as you're turning, and then gently put it down again when you're getting ready to take your pictures. Regardless of how many precautions I took and how careful I was, the thin layer of skin on his neck has peeled away, and it's a very thin layer of paint, and underneath that thin layer of paint that replicates the kind of detail of human skin, there's kind of a more flat skin tone, a bit paler just underneath, very flat compared to what's around it. So it means that I have to swap out the body now for a new one. I certainly wouldn't get a replacement one of these bodies. I'm going to find another one, one that comes to mind. It's not the right size, but if any of you out there have the Man of Steel Superman or the Dawn of Justice Superman, both Henry Cavill figures, they have realistic skin on the bodies around the neck area in particular, but it doesn't have this thin layer of paint. At least, I could be wrong, but those Superman figures, I've never noticed that problem with them. So it just depends what body you're going to use, but I'll find a body one day to swap out for this. And also, his proportions have always slightly bugged me with this particular figure. There just seems to be something slightly not accurate. He came off the back of his weightlifting career, and he was very successful, Mr. Schwarzenegger, in his weightlifting days. He was huge. And he's only recently come off the back of that career when he filmed Terminator 1. I believe they filmed it in 1984, possibly late 83, I'm guessing, but I think it's around 84 that they actually filmed it. So I mean, he just seems a little bit undersized to me, particularly in the arms. Maybe the shoulder, the traps kind of situation is a bit lacking, or maybe just the whole torso is a little bit undersized. So if I do change out the body to solve the neck issue that I have now, I would use a slightly bigger body, ever so slightly, just to make him look as imposing as he was in the original film. But that is a real shame of a problem, guys. Like I said, it's not the only Hot Toys figure that has that issue. And like I said, it's a scary thing because I'm sure there are people out there who don't really touch their figures very much and just put them on display and don't realize that they may very well have this problem too. But just be careful. And yeah, it's a shame, just letting you know. It's a bit of an ugly situation, literally, because I always have to have him looking forward now with his head slightly tilted down to cover up the mess. But obviously, when you can't see it, he looks fantastic, but that should not happen. Let's take a look at this head sculpt kind of close up. You'll get a much closer look at this during the video with the photography from over the years. I really got up in his grill in those pictures. So this is a nice distance just to kind of appreciate the realism here and that battle damaged eye. Sorry it's not lighting up, but like I said, it's It's a bit temperamental and mine doesn't want to light up most of the time, and I don't think there's even batteries in him anymore, so that could be why. But there was batteries in him in the early days when I first got him, and it still didn't want to work half the time, so I don't know. But it's okay. It's a beautiful sculpt. I love the way the hair is done. Each individual little spike of hair, and the light from above here is really kind of setting off the detail on that, and you can really see it. Great transition from the hair to the forehead, skin-wise, paint-wise. A great skin tone on this head sculpt. No eyebrows, because at the end of the Tech Noir shootout, he runs through the flames to jump on the hood of the car, and his eyebrows get singed off, as well as some of his hair as well. It was a fair bit of a different style on the Tech Noir version of the figure, which came out before this one. That also came with 2 head sculpts, just like this one does. 2 very, very good head sculpts. Both releases are absolutely knocked out of the park. Fantastic. It makes me remember thinking about the Tech Noir version, how he gets those clothes when he takes out those 3 or 4 punks. One of them's Bill Paxton. R.I.P. to him. God bless him. I mean, I've seen him in so many films growing up. Obviously, he's been in well, I ain't even going to try and list the films Bill Paxton's been in. But you guys probably already know this, because anyone who's a fan of these films knows this by now. But it's just awesome that Bill Paxton was like one of the only actors, I think, ever to be killed in films by a xenomorph, a Terminator, and a Predator. All the big 3. He was taken out in movies by all of them. Just an awesome little fact there. Like I said, I'm sure 99.9% of you already know that. But just in case you didn't, it's a cool little fact. But this just looks incredibly realistic to me, and I love it. And I will change his body out to solve the neck issue, and I just want to make him a little bit more intimidating, slightly bigger torso-wise, and I think that's really going to work. But still, even though you can just slightly turn the arms like this, maybe even, does he have those kind of arms that kind of lift up and down? Slightly. You could always try to make him look a little bit more hench yourself. It's doable. You could even try putting a thin layer of cotton padding or something here to create a sort of more of a bigger traps look. But when the collar's popped up like this, it kind of gives that illusion anyway. So, just an awesome sculpt though. Very, very cool. Only slightly let down by that transition at the side profile, where you can see that this actually, lifts away. There's no real way to make that look any less obvious. Although I will say they have done this better on other figures more recently. I think some of the figures I've seen with a kind of breakaway section at the back of the head, be it for batteries or a PERS moving eyes system, they have executed it better on other figures. But anyway, a great sculpt, definitely one that I'd rate very highly. Look at the battle damaged head, and as you can see, it's very impressively done. The battle damaged side is gory as hell, and the blood dripping is super wet looking and just nasty. Incredible stuff. You can even see the endoskull's teeth inside the wound there. Wow, it's just incredible. I haven't displayed it with this head on for a while, and I think I might have to switch back to this one now. You can even, if you wanted to, there's nothing stopping you from putting the sunglasses on this head sculpt, just in case you wanted to try that out. I don't know if that's going to work for me on camera right now. I might have to finesse it a little bit. Whoa, stay there. Well, that's not exactly how it should be. They're not in the correct position, but just in case you wanted to know what that would look like, it kind of would look something like that. the dirt and the grime, the scuffs on the forehead and on the cheek there from, I think, where he would have got dragged by that massive truck. Yeah, again, the work on the dripping blood on this head sculpt is fantastic. Let me just zoom in a touch. Yeah, it's just incredibly well done. It just looks exactly like the film. When I look at this bit here, I can just see the close-up that you get where that eye moves, even though this isn't switched on. It's just so real looking. For 1/6 scale, sometimes, man, they really, really nail it, and this is one of those times, man. It's just amazing to see this. Sorry it's not lighting up, but even if the batteries were in there, I doubt it would work. I had trouble with mine, like I said. Always giving me grief. Doesn't want to work half the time, but it's okay. It's okay. When you look this awesome, it's okay. But yeah, look at that. Absolutely incredible. Only thing, slightly let it down, is again the seam coming down here, but that's not so bad. But from any angle, really, it's just amazingly detailed. Very accurate. And very scary. Yeah, you put this head sculpt on him and get him dragging his leg behind him, raise up his arm and put this hand on there and get him reaching out for you. Can look really, really creepy. Amazing work on that sculpt. Let's look at him up and down close up. We'll start with the base. Base is really awesome on this one. I think they reused this base for someone and they just took away the pipe bomb there. Could be wrong, but I remember seeing it recently and thinking, hey, you're up to your old tricks again. That's the old T800 base. Nameplate just reads the Terminator T800. One of Carl Reese's pipe bombs, bullets, shells, blood, pavement. The boots are nicely done. Pretty much the same as the Tech Noir boots, I believe. And I think these are kind of the same pants he's wearing too. I've got those battle damaged hands in, which are really nicely detailed. The leather jacket, I don't recall whether this is real leather or fake leather, but it's very nice either way. Careful of the little black strings that hang off the zips. They can come off pretty easy. Been lucky so far. And also none of my little silver buttons have come off. I think you get some spare ones. Possibly. Nice t-shirt underneath with a hole for where he got shot. Some blood under there. Nicely done. Like I said, I know it's not an accurate look, but I do like to have this all done up. I don't know, the way I like to have him. So, you'll have to forgive me on that one, but the jacket is fantastic. You turn it to the side. You can see everything is present and correct. Love the detail on that. Bullet holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, a whole bunch of bullet holes. Another 2 there. Bang, bang. And some serious battle damage. He's got himself a tush. Tush looks pretty natural. Good proportions on that. These pockets may or may not function as pockets. They seem to be real pockets. Yes, they are. Whether or not you can actually get this bit to lift up, though, I do not know. Anyway. Very, very nicely done. Awesome clothing. Awesome clothing. it's worth acknowledging to people that were collecting, the same time as me and before me. We all waited a long time to be able to own a figure that could look like this, from that iconic scene in the first movie, in the police station. And we finally got it. And I do have fond memories, of the old school gang, and I ain't gonna name names apart from the one that I'm gonna name now, because there's too many to name and then you leave people out and people get offended. The one guy who managed to make this figure kind of happen before Hot Toys actually released their version was Mike Echo. He put together some kind of custom kit bash versions, and I was always checking out his cop shootout Terminators that he built. I think to myself, man, one day I hope Hot Toys finally make that one. And they did, and it's definitely an awesome piece. But you can see that issue I've got with the neck is standing out clear as day, because I've got his head slightly turned to the right hand side there. And yeah, that neck issue is just hideous to look at. So I'd never actually have him on the shelf displayed like this anymore. He'd always have to be looking forward, and I know the pose I'm going to do now that will all work out fine. But coming back to that point with the neck, I do definitely need to change the body. So I'll give you an update on that once I actually get round to changing out the body. I've got to find a good one that's going to suit the the skin tone of the head. Even though it's only the neck that you're going to see, I need to make sure it matches color wise. But that is a nice pose, and we waited a long time. That's my main point here. We waited a long time to be able to pull off something like this. Such an iconic scene from a classic iconic movie, Terminator 1. Alright guys, well that's the pose I'm going to go with, putting him back on the shelf for display. I'll wrap up this review now and just tell you I think this is a fantastic release. I'm very kind of frustrated by the issue with his neck and the skin peeling away. I would love to know how you're getting on with this figure if you have him as well. Obviously don't go risking damaging yours to check if you have the issue, but if you are the kind of person who does change the head occasionally, or maybe turn the head a little bit from time to time when you're reposing him, let me know how you're getting on, because I'm wondering if it's just me or is it everyone. So I'd give him a good solid chunky 8 out of 10. Really could easily be a 9 or a 9.5 considering everything you get and the overall look at the piece. But that issue with the skin peeling off the neck, that is something that really puts a dent in his score. The proportions are pretty damn good, but not 100% bang on. Like I said, he came off the back of his weightlifting career and was pretty big in Terminator 1. The box art is fantastic, the clothing is very well done, both head sculpts are incredible, weaponry is done very well too, no complaints there, lovely base, and yeah, all this stuff that you see, the endoskull there, the life-size bust, that has videos on the channel, the endoskeleton there has videos on the channel, so you can always check that out if you wish. But thanks for watching another re-review guys, where I went back and reviewed an older figure that I did attempt to review before but wasn't happy with the results, so give him the new modern treatment today. Hope you enjoyed the photography throughout the video too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get notifications on any new videos and you don't miss out. Check me out on Facebook, follow me on Instagram at D9333, become a patron if you want to help the channel keep tooting along. Appreciate all you guys, big love. We'll see you real soon, take it easy, bye bye.